This is a picture of the United States Patent and Trademark Office headquarters in Alexandria, Virginia. And I work in one of these buildings over there. If you work with the Technology Transfer Office, they will probably do electronic filing. And most of you who've filed for grants probably know there's a very similar system with the NIH and so on. So that's electronic filing system, EFS Web. You could, if you lived in Alexandria or close by in Washington, D.C., actually physically show up at the patent office and drop it off at this window. And when I was a practicing attorney, we would do that. We'd have a runner like at 5 p.m. every night running stuff over to the patent office. Less frequent, but it does still happen. People still fax things. And I suppose you could still drop it in the mail and have it get to me eventually. Okay, so it's in the patent office. What happens? The first thing is that we have contractors that do initial scan of each patent application. And what are they looking for? Is the application complete? Right? If it is not complete, you get a notice of missing parts. And that tells you what pieces are not complete. Now remember, once it gets in, you're assigned a filing date, which is good. To keep the filing date, you need to fix whatever's missing. For example, you said, I have drawings 1 through 10, and drawings 1 through 10 were not included in the application. You'll get a notice that says, it looks like you need drawings, send us drawings 1 through 10. And you get, let's say, 2 months to do it. Do it, you get to keep your date. If you don't, your date is the date that your application is complete. Okay, the application is complete. Then what? It goes through one of 9 technology centers within the patent office. So I'm a chemical bio person. I don't know much about examining computer applications or mechanical devices. So we have all those broken out into different areas. And there are 9 of those. And within each technology center are several groups of examiners called art units. And I work in one of these art units. So there are, I think, 12 of us in an art unit. Okay, so eventually, yes. So the question was, if you filed a provisional patent application, do you get to keep your date throughout the process, even through a non-provisional application? The answer is yes. You get that date. The question is, the issue really becomes, how much of your non-provisional looks like your provisional application? So if there is a 100% concordance, that essentially you've taken your non-provisional and then just converted it to a non-provisional, no problem, you get the date. If you've added new material, that's when you get into what date are you entitled to. Some, what we call subject matter, is entitled to the earlier date because it was there from the beginning. Some may be entitled to a later date as to when you added the information.
Sorry, one small question.
Yes?
If you don't use the route in which you're filing a provisional patent application, you go straight for a non-provisional patent application, what determines your date? Is it the time you turn in the first version of the application, even if there are errors and things missing, or is it when it's complete?
So the question was, if you do not file if you do not file a provisional application and you go straight to a non-provisional application, what is the date that you get for the application if it has errors and missing parts? Well, most often you get the date that you actually first filed it. Typographical errors, not a problem. Okay? Missing part errors, missing parts, as you're given a time period to fulfill them, and if you fulfill them, you get to keep your original date. If you don't, then and the time period has passed, then you get the new date in which the application was complete. So when you get a notice of missing parts, give us the missing parts, right? Because you want to keep that date. And the Patent Office gives you a lot of time to satisfy that. Okay, anybody else? Good. Okay, so here's an example. We'll just go through just to flesh out the matter a little bit. We have, for argument's sake, a patent application, non-provisional patent application has been filed for an inhibitor to LDLR recycling. Now, the claim terms include this phrase here, a synthetic peptide. So we've got a peptide piece. peptide hormone with a new chemical moiety attached to it. So what is likely to happen to this? Let's just go through it. So we're trying to figure out how this would get sorted into technology centers and then art units and then eventually examiners. So this could be somebody in the room might be thinking of something like this. So once again, just to reiterate, there are technology centers and there are art units. And here are examples of technology centers that this patent application could go into. Anybody have a guess as to which of those three, there are 6 more after this, but which of those 3 are likely to end up with this patent application? The second one, chemical and materials engineering. First one, biotechnology and organic chemistry. It could go into both, I agree. It's more likely to go into the first one, I would guess. And then from there, these are the examples of art units. So let's again look at them. Organic compounds, molecular biology, and immunology. So anybody have a guess as to which one of those it's likely to go into? Maybe the first 2? Okay, that's one of the first 2, perhaps. Anybody else? The third one? Immunology, the recombinant hormones? Yeah, so, I mean, I think they're all perfectly reasonable ones, and sometimes I end up with patent applications that kind of fit in my area and kind of don't. A lot may actually depend on whether the novelty is with the chemical piece or the biological piece, peptide. So I think the best guess we could come up with is probably in the steroids drugs capacity. But once again, this is not an exact science. We do get patent applications that are misaligned, and we do get to transfer those to other examiners. Who decides which to go, the inventor or the examiner? It is not the inventor. Neither of those 2. The way it works is usually it's a computer scan of the claims, and the computer will make a best guess judge on where it would go. And then it ends up in one of these art units. Okay? And usually a senior examiner looks at it and says, this doesn't belong here. Or, yeah, it's one of ours, we'll take it. All right? And so we have a person like that to look at it because he is very senior and knows the kinds of stuff that we do. And we'll say, yep, this looks like it's one of ours, so we'll keep it. And then he will assign it. He's got a system by which he assigns it to one of us under him. Because if it comes to me and don't feel qualified to examine this, I will send it to somebody else who is more qualified.
What do you think that won't decide? Is the classification the disclosure or the claim?
So the question was, what is the decision? Where it's classified? Is it the application specification of the claims? It's the claims. It's the claims. Okay, the claims define the invention, and the claims define where the application goes. So, good point, because there have been times where I have gotten something where one claim may relate to me, but the other 15 of them do not relate to me. So that's when you say, well, I don't know if this belongs with me or not. But it's the claims that make those, is the deciding. Okay, so just to give you a sense of how the process works.